Chapter 5. Message Delivered. The messenger had sailed 2 full days before the Orkney princess. He had made a hard crossing and an equally hard landing, coming ashore in such an astonishing downpour that it had all but washed the paint off his small boat. In a fortress not far from his landing place, he reported briefly what he had found out in the Orkneys to Lord Bedwyr. Then he had been immediately sent, with a pocket packed with hard journey cake and a leather bottle filled with the raw wine of the previous year, back to the road without either a bath or a change of clothes. Arthur must know what she is sending, Bedwyr had told the man. Let no one and nothing stop you, not thieves, not those puny lords who hate Arthur and would stop any messages reaching him. Go with our Lord's blessing. He clapped the messenger on the back with a gusto that belied the fact that he was worried about the man getting through. The messenger's face was the color of Roman bronze from being outdoors most of his life. He had a hawk's nose with dark, alert hawk eyes above it, glowering from under a leather cap covered with metal. His mustache was as taut and gray as bowstring, and his beard looked as if ash had been sprinkled in it. No one seeing that face, or the ease with which he sat his saddle or pulled his long-bladed sword from its sheath, would ever mistake him for easy prey. Still, Bedwyr worried, his pudgy, homely countenance scrunched up with his dismay. He knew there were many brigands and many followers of the North Witch between his own well-guarded fortress and Arthur's Cadbury. In fact, brigands did not worry the messengers on the long road. His enemies were wind and weather and the many days he had to spend in the saddle. Even a man with his natural strength wearied. A weary man is not a careful man. A careless man is a dead man. He worked extra hard to remain careful. The messenger rode 3 separate horses down, the first 2 expiring within an hour of his unsaddling them in an ostler's stable, and the other having to be killed with a quick, deep slice across the neck after it tripped and broke its right foreleg in the deep forest. That had been an excellent horse, and the messenger hated losing it, but the death was the only honor he could pay it for its service, and his own carelessness. After that, he walked through the deep woods, a strong stride, but still days slower than any horse's gait. He slept cold and hungry, for even though it was a late spring, there was not much in the way of a forest larder in the northern lands. But he made it at last to a farm at the edge of the woods, where he purchased a new horse that took him speedily on to the palace. Nowhere along the way did he say where he was riding or why. Safety lay in anonymity. This the messenger knew from long experience. Once in Cadbury, he produced his letter from Bedwyr, with the Lord's crest foiled into the wax, and was shown at once to the king. Arthur was shifting his weight uncomfortably on the high wooden throne, his white brachet hound asleep at his feet, when the messenger was brought into the great hall, a boat-shaped room that served many purposes. Bowing to the young king, the hawk-faced messenger took off his helmet and glanced briefly but longingly at the peat fire burning in the central hearth. The smoke was making its way up to the louvre, the hole in the roof. "Have you been traveling straight through?" Arthur asked, having known such days and nights himself. The hound stirred at his voice, but did not awaken, for she was getting old, and once asleep, nothing much awoke her. "Aye, my lord," the man said. "Were you assaulted anywhere along the way?" "Nay, my lord." "Good, then the peace holds." "For a careful man, sire." Arthur smiled. "How is the back, the legs?" "Fine, my king. Though I cannot say the same for all my horses. It took 4. "Any of them living still?" asked Arthur, suddenly grim, for he loved the large-footed beasts and hated anyone's having to use them so hard, even when he understood the necessity. "Only the last, my lord. As for the others, I am saddened and shamed." It was plainly said and clearly from the heart. Arthur immediately took to the man. "Give me your message quickly, then, and stand by the fire while I read it." Arthur held out his hand for the letter the messenger held. "The message is in my head, Lord," said the man. "Lord Bedwar would not entrust it to a scribe. This letter is but my passage into your presence." Arthur stood and walked down the thrones 2 steps to the man. The movement made the Brachet look up blearily. Then she settled down into sleep again. "Let us stand at the fire together, and there you shall tell me what it is that has you sent on such an unrelieved journey," Arthur said. As he walked, one arm on the messenger's elbow, he nodded to his stepbrother and Sashnal, Kay, who knew that he was meant to bring them both a mug of hot cider without delay. Kay was a thin, still boyish-looking young man, who tried to appear older by sporting a flowing mustache. The mustache was red, though the lengthy hair on his head was blonde. It created a pied effect that only made him look foolish, like a jester without wit or the wisdom for the job. He made a face when Arthur sent him out, hating to miss any part of the message. There was nothing he liked better than being in on secrets, but he knew he could not hesitate acting upon Arthur's commands, small or large. To hesitate was way to lose the king's trust, and the king's trust was the thing Kay desired most of all. As soon as Kay had cleared the doorway, Arthur spoke quietly to the tired man. "The sooner you have delivered what it is in your head, the sooner you can sleep. Your good horse will be cared for in my own stable. The message is this, my lord. The North Witch is sending her 4 sons to your court, and they are not to be trusted. One is an assassin, so says my lord Bedwar, who has sent many messengers riding the country on your behalf. 4 sons, not 5? Arthur let nothing show on his face. The young Madrouch she keeps behind her skirts at home. He is too much in her thrall to be let go, and too young to be much good here. But watch the others, my lord Bedward says. Which one is the assassin? That, alas, Lord Bedward was unable to discover. Ah, worry lines spread across Arthur's brow. Then let us reason this out together. Together? Clearly the messenger was unused to great lords doing more than dismissing him once a message has been delivered. Arthur smiled. We know Gawain well here in Cadbury. There is no meanness in him. He is a sound young man. Suddenly Arthur broke into a barking laugh, and the messenger looked startled. I call him young, Arthur explained, though he is but 4 years younger than I. My lord, the messenger hesitated. Then he plunged in. Even Gawain must be watched. They say where I live, the Dell Barns, hey I, devil's luck. And that means? The devil's children have all the devil's luck, sire. He may seem sound, Prince Gawain, and without gall, but he is still the North Witch's child, suckled at her breast on wizard's milk, and gone back home at her every summoning. The smile disappeared from Arthur's face. At that moment Kay returned with the cups and handed one to each of them. And they also say, added the messenger, what's up with the Dell wants a lang shafted spoon. I know that one, said Kay, a bit too eagerly. Who sups with the devil needs a long shafted spoon. He grinned in what he thought was a companionable way and stroked his mustache. Kay's last lady but one was a Scotty girl, commented Arthur to the messenger. If he thought the comment would steady the man, he was wrong. For the messenger was now in full cry against the Orkneys, as only a Highlander could be, his original message all but forgotten, and he wound himself up with his warning. He slipped easily back into his own dialect. Those islands are nae Scotland, said the messenger.
And nae Britain neither. They be Norse settled and Viking to the core. Odin be worshipped there, my lord, not the Christ. The Dell and all are alive across those waters. So say Lord Bedwar? Asked Arthur quietly. So says mesel. the messenger said before gratefully taking a long swallow of the hot mulled drink. When the man was gone to a bed far from the great hall, and all the servants were dismissed, Arthur explained the message to Kay. Arthur often kept his stepbrother out of state secrets. Kay had eager ears but not a closed mouth. Kay's face turned red. He roared, "Does Bedworth think we are stupid? Of course we know Margus believes she has a better right to the throne than you." His voice ended on a rising note. The Bratchett looked up, startled out of dreams. Then, seeing the noise was only Kay, she put her head down again. "Margus has, you know," Arthur said, "a straighter, truer line. I am nobody, fatherless, motherless, kinless, but for your father, who named me his foster child. I was put on the throne, but did not inherit it." "That is not what Morlinus believes," Kay said. "Nor I. You are my brother in all but blood, Arthur. Besides, you were trained up to be the king." "We," Arthur said slowly, "were trained up to it together." He said this partly because he knew it was what Kay was really thinking, and by acknowledging that fact, he salved the pain of Kay's jealousy and held Kay even closer, and partly he said it because he truly believed the two of them were equal. "We were both taught to handle hawk and hound and horse. We both practiced daily at sword and spear, axe and sling, and we learned well what a hero has to know, if not a king." Then he smiled a half smile, remembering. He had loved those lessons. "You were the best," Kay admitted. It was hard for him to say, but it had to be said. "Though I was better at letters, still you must be careful, Arthur. The North Witch has a long reach, a sharp knife, and 4 strong sons." "5, Arthur answered. "The little one does not count," Kay replied hotly. "Madrow, not for ages and ages." "It is the ages I worry about most," said Arthur in a calm voice. "My sword can take care of the rest." He drank down the last of the cider, now cold but none the less delicious. Then he set the cup on the wooden mantel that stretched the length of the hearth. The peats were barely smoldering, and what heat remained was as soft as summer. "What should we do then?" Kay asked. "Be extra careful?" "I am careful with everyone," Arthur said. "It is part of what the High King is all about, being careful. I am careful because everyone, even you, my dear brother, would be king in my place." Kay had the grace to look embarrassed and once again blushed red. "Not I, Arthur," he said, but they both knew it was a lie. "Everyone wants the throne," Arthur repeated, and walked back up the steps to the high wooden seat. He sat down on it heavily. The Bratchett sat up, put her head in his lap, and he absent-mindedly stroked her small head. "Everyone wants it but me." Kay did not hear the last comment, as he picked up the cup and headed out of the room. Even if he had heard it, he would not have believed it. High King of all Britain was the most important position in the entire civilized world. He believed that with all his heart.